President Bola Tinubu has announced the successful conclusion of a historic settlement agreement between the federal government of Nigeria, ENI, and Nigerian Ajib Exploration Limited. The agreement brought to a close the long-standing dispute over oil prospecting license 245, paving the way for the development of one of Nigeria's most significant deep-water resources. Well, the agreement marks the resolution of a dispute spanning more than 15 years, restoring clarity and stability to an asset widely recognized as one of Nigeria's most commercially promising deep-water blocks. President Tinubu described the agreement as a strategic milestone in Nigeria's economic reform agenda. He reaffirmed the administration's commitment to resolving legacy disputes, restoring investor confidence, and ensuring that Nigeria's natural resources deliver sustainable value. Let's bring in Chairman, Human and Environmental Development Agenda Resource Center, Larry Suraj, for more on this development. Mr. Suraj, thank you for joining us on TVC News at 10. This dispute over the OPL 245 has been tied for many years to allegations of corruption, issues of questionable payments, and international court battles. Do you think this settlement truly resolve the corruption concerns around the bloc?
No, it's not in any way resolving it. And it is very unfortunate. I heard you said about 16 years, but that controversy has been on for like 28 years, and that really is something that an attempt is being made to just resolve in 3 years. Unfortunately, the best resolution and attempt to resolve it was what late President Muhammadu Buhari actually put in place, with the plan and hope to have all the legal issues surrounding that controversy resolved, both at the local and the international level. Unfortunately, I think President Tinubu was actually just misadvised, misinformed, and misled into attempting at resolving the thing within 2 years, which is to actually placate all the fundamental issues and try to sweep them under the carpet. It is never going to go away that way. There was an attempt by President Obasanjo also to do this kind of what you can call a very shady a process of resolving it, where the things were shared with quite a number of people that were also associated with the president and the vice president at the time, with Shell also at the center of it. That backfired and resulted in the whole controversy. Unfortunately, it's the same approach that was used by Obasanjo that was never enduring and resulted in the protracted period of another more than 15, 16 years of battle or court cases. What this government has done is to discontinue many of the cases that should have been allowed to go to normal conclusion, including even the criminal cases that were in Nigeria. They were boggled, they were compromised, but people still have, issues to resolve with them. The family of Abacha, who actually had the original allocation of the license, was completely sidelined from the process, and I'm sure they're still in court. The cases are still in court here and there. The case at ICSI that was initiated by Eni was just summarily also withdrawn. And the one in Italy was compromised to the extent that even the prosecutor that conducted this serious high-level investigation leading to the international prosecution is actually being persecuted now. So there's still there are still several unresolved issues, including the working group on bribery at the OECD, which has promised to also investigate the circumstances surrounding the prosecution.
You know that what we're hearing from the president says that this deal restores some form of clarity and investor confidence. From an anti-corruption standpoint, should Nigerians be demanding full public disclosure of the settlement terms to ensure that our country is not conceding too much in the process?
Absolutely. This is very important, and that is very critical. That's the only thing that the president can actually do. It's important to see, there were two people, the two parties, SNEPCO, ENI, and SPDC, that were actually NIOC and SNEPCO, that were at the center of it before, where Nigeria was completely shortchanged, and they had 50-50%. That is one of the most lucrative oil licenses, not just in Nigeria, but even in Africa, in terms of the deposit of gas and oil. But we don't have any information except that it's been resolved. Resolved how? Now it's being shared to 4. So what we hear now is that about 4 allocation of 4 people or 4 parties that are, where are these 4 parties? Nigeria was extremely shortchanged to the tune of about $6.5 billion from this allocation according to the contract that was drawn in 2020 under Obasanjo and Adoke, where they completely and outrightly just allowed Nigeria to be totally removed from any benefits in terms of the profit oil and the rest of that. So if that is being corrected, it will be incumbent on the president and the handlers of this government to tell Nigerians what we are dealing with. And transparency is just about the only thing that can actually even exonerate the culpability or even assumption of compromise on the part of the part of the president.
All right, good place to leave it. Government is framing this as an economic reform milestone that could unlock a major deep water asset, and I guess time will tell if this kind of settlement is able to strengthen our credibility with investors. But that's our time. Chairman, Human and Environmental Development Agenda Resource Center, Larry Suraj, thank you so much for talking to us on the news tonight.
Thank you for having me.